so much for choosing us. Go out, have a great weekend. Be kind to one another. Please come back and see us again soon.
Alright guys, we're in here at the Fitzpatrick Wilderness at the Wind River Range. Unlike our previous hikes, we will be spending majority of time on this hike off trail. We begin from the Glacier Trailhead heading up the Whiskey Mountain Trail and dropping into Ross Lake. From there, our off-trail adventures begin. We will make our way around Ross Lake and Mile Long Lake before heading up onto the Continental Divide. Once on the Continental Divide, our goal was to get into Bear Basin. After spending some time in Bear Basin, we would head to Sourdough Glacier and Baker Lake. From there, we would go back onto the Continental Divide, crossing Grasshopper Glacier, and then dropping down the Gannett Creek drainage. Gannett Creek then confluences with Dinwoody Creek, and that's where we pick up the trail once again. We will take the Glacier Trail all the way back to our original start point at Glacier Trailhead. We'll be heading out that way. All right, here we go. Yep. On the first day of our hike, we started late in the afternoon around 2 p.m. We paid for it as we made our way up the switchbacks on the Whiskey Mountain Trail as the sun scorched us. Once we reached the top of the switchbacks, there was a junction for the Ross Lake Trail, which we took. The Ross Lake Trail continued around the side of Whiskey Mountain, providing views down the West Torrey Creek drainage. This was my favorite part of the day. Eventually, we came to a flat area that typically is marshy but is dry at this time of year. Directly after, we had some switchbacks taking us down toward Ross Lake. The trail ended at the shores of Ross Lake, and that's where we started looking for a campsite. We found some turning right at the end of the trail. Overall, it was a tougher day than I expected. This is because of the hot sun and the lack of cover. On the second day of our hike, we started by making our way around Ross Lake along its eastern shores. This was mostly off route, but there was a pretty well worn game trail as we made our way along. We had one river crossing at the outlet of Ross Lake. This was an easy crossing as there was wood logs allowing us to keep our feet dry. As we continued around Ross Lake, it started to snow on us. At the end of Ross Lake, we came to a great campsite where we stopped for lunch. Afterwards, the area between Ross Lake and Upper Ross Lake was a little bit more difficult to navigate as we had to go over some rocky bluffs and cross the stream. The navigation around Upper Ross Lake was the most difficult of the day as we were mostly bushwhacking through the woods and over rocky bluffs. By the time we reached the end of Upper Ross Lake, we were tired and exhausted, and were happy to grab the first campsite we saw. We were still exhausted as we woke up on the morning of day 3. It didn't help that we were bushwhacking through the forest once again to begin our day. Luckily, we were able to find a game trail to follow, taking us majority of the way to Mile Long Lake. Mile Long Lake was a beautiful sight, and it gave us idea to take the rest of the day off. Once we rounded Mile Long Lake, we set up camp and enjoyed the beautiful views. This will prepare us for a crucial day 4 where we would be crossing over the Continental Divide. Alright, so that's a scree scope we came up with.
Okay, what do you want for lunch?
I don't know, whatever is easy.
I don't have a ton of time. I have like snacks, chocolate.
Maybe just bagels and okay. fourth day of our hike was the crux of our trip. We began the day by following the creek draining into Mile Lake up toward the Conner Divide, specifically Ram Pass. The way up involved climbing up waterfalls and scree fields, but it was pretty easy navigationally. Once we reached Ram Pass, we had lunch and enjoyed the view of the Connie Glacier. Next, we crossed the Conner Divide. It was a very windy and barren landscape. Navigation on the Conner Divide was rather difficult because we didn't have much in terms of landmarks to guide our way. As such, we ended up dropping slightly earlier than we had intended to, missing Delphine Lake. However, we were still able to make it to Bear Lake in the late afternoon. At Bear Lake, we saw the first people in the backcountry on our trip. Stephen and David were veterans here in the Wind River Range and welcomed us to share their camp. They were great company and took me to school on the many routes in the backcountry here. Good. Same thing. Hourglass and dumbbells look like almost the exact same. Yep, Kevin's Lake. Jesus, that car is not real. That car is not real. Pretty good day. The fifth day of our hike was among my favorites of this trip. We made our way up Bear Basin, curving around a few lakes including Rocking Horse Lake, Hourglass Lake, and Kevin Lake. Bear Basin reminded me of the mountains of the Eastern Sierras with large slabs of granite and many beautiful lakes. Of course, there were talus fields along the way, especially along the cascading streams as we made our way up to the next lake. We ended our day at Connie Glacier with no one around us. stuck on there.
1, 2, 3.
You need bigger rocks.
Some smaller ones. Here you go. This one's for you.
No, you can do it. I'm taking a video.
Do the smaller ones then. I skipped it.
It's not skipping.
Okay, ready? I'll go for that one. 1, 2, 3. Oh man, I thought that would for sure break.
Nope. The sixth day of our hike was a relatively short day. All we had to do was climb onto the Connie Divide and drop into the next valley. Along the way, we summited Yukon Peak for a 360-degree view overlooking Connie Glacier and Basin, including our route that we took the previous day. We ended the day just under Sourdough Glacier and above Baker Lake for another perfect campsite. We should be going to the right. Final off-route pass. Final off-route pass. The seventh day of our hike was another crucial day on our trip. We continued on the Conner Divide, crossing Grasshopper Glacier. It was easier than we thought as the snow held very firmly and the crevices were easy to spot. Once we crossed Grasshopper Glacier, we had our final off-trail pass. The way up to the pass was relatively easy, however, the way down was not. We had to find our way down the scree slopes around Dinwoody Glacier, which was very soft and unstable. The rest of the way down we spent on the talus fields following Gannett Creek all the way down to its confluence with Dinwoody Creek. From there, we finally were back on trail, and we were very happy. We took the glacier trail following Dinwoody Creek as far as we could for the rest of the day before turning in just before sunset. The last day of our trip was also going to be the longest. However, it was all on trail, so it was not a thing. We were powered throughout the day with the thought of real food and a hot shower. Additionally, our friends Keith and Taylor hiked in and joined us for the last 10 miles of our hike. They made that section easy by pumping us full of sugar and fed our spirits with their awesome conversation that we were craving during our entire time in the backcountry. It's easy to understate at this point how beautiful the scenery around the glacier trail was. It in itself could be the highlight of a trip, and it was a great end to our hike.
Holy shit,
We're up pretty high, right? Most of the valleys had like just grass